we'll come back to, okay, because we have to see that we have to have tests also. So we are running short of time already. So for everyone, I'm telling this, that you have to go through the national income accounting methods video on my YouTube channel. Link I will be posting to on Telegram, and you go through it, and then we'll see that if you are not able to understand, we'll come back to it again. But let us start with the second unit now. So we are talking about macroeconomic equilibrium, and try to focus here, okay? Don't get distracted. Try to focus here, because this is very difficult, okay? If you, from the very beginning, if you will miss the idea, then it will be really difficult for you to understand. So in economics, one of the major problem for us to understand or to study is the state of equilibrium. Okay, equilibrium is important for every economic decision. Every economic decision leads us to an equilibrium situation. So you are taking economic decisions to achieve equilibrium. Now, in the BA1, we were talking about microeconomic equilibrium. In BA2, we are talking about macroeconomic equilibrium. So when you say macroeconomic equilibrium, you understand that macroeconomic equilibrium is related to equilibrium of various economic agents and economic variables at the macro level. So you are talking about various macroeconomic agents. Macroeconomic agents means households, firms, government, and foreign sector or rest of the world. And then you are talking about economic variables at the macro level or at the macroeconomy level. So when you say macroeconomic equilibrium, what actually you are targeting? You are targeting to find out level for GDP, employment, income, consumption, investment, savings, output. So these are certain macroeconomic variables for which you are trying to find out the equilibrium. So how these are determined? You say that equilibrium, it means you are saying that determination of equilibrium level through national income methods, you are saying that you want to calculate GDP, you want to calculate the output level, you want to calculate the income level, you want to calculate various economic variables. When you are calculating these bills, you are also trying to determine the equilibrium level of that economic variable. Now, how do you define equilibrium? Will anyone tell me that what do you mean by equilibrium?
When satisfaction level is
What is, not exactly. What? How do you?
Demand
aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply.
Okay. Try out in some other way. Don't talk about demand supply. Don't talk about. But try to define equilibrium per se.
Ma'am, a state of rest.
Yes.
A state of balance.
Yes. So now you are getting it right. When you are saying equilibrium, so you are talking about a level which is not changing very frequently. So you are saying state of rest, you are saying stability or steady, some variable which is not prone to changes. Okay, some level which is not prone to very frequent changes. So you have arrived at a situation where variables are not changing very frequently, and then you further say that when demand and supply is equal to each other, there is a equilibrium level. Why? Because demand and supply are no longer changing. Okay. Mute the audio if someone has left it open. So when you are saying equilibrium, state of rest or no change or equality between two opposite forces. Now, when you say equilibrium, as someone in the beginning said, that when satisfaction level is higher. So you can also say that equilibrium also means achieving the maximum possible value for a variable given the constraints. Okay, that's how you define the equilibrium state.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, stock variables means equilibrium.
What you are saying, Gauri, I am not able to hear properly.
स्टॉक वेरिएबल्स जैसे कि स्टॉक वेरिएबल्स जो होता है उसको हम इक्विलिब्रियम कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि इसमें स्टॉक वेरिएबल्स में इसमें एट ए पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम होता है.
नहीं, नॉट लाइक दैट. यू आर सेइंग दैट देखो, जब इकोनॉमिक वेरिएबल्स की बात करते हैं तो वी कैन डिफाइन इकोनॉमिक वेरिएबल्स or we can measure economic variables in two ways. Stock and flow is the way of measuring or way of expressing the variable. But you need to find out the equilibrium level for a stock variable as well as a flow variable. स्टॉक वेरिएबल और फ्लो वेरिएबल दोनों के लिए ही इक्विलिब्रियम लेवल अचीव करना है. स्टॉक वेरिएबल इज नॉट इक्विलिब्रियम. Every variable will have a unique equilibrium level, will have a unique point where the demand and supply of that particular variable will be equal to each other, even if it is a stock or it is a flow. Suppose you are talking about savings, so savings की supply and savings की demand, the point where they will be equal to each other, that will be equilibrium. Savings is equal to investment. Now, if you see this, you understand that savings is always a stock variable, but investment is always a flow variable. Okay, so when you are saying equilibrium, it means in the equilibrium situation, the stock and flow variable has to be equal to each other. And through this equilibrium, you achieve the Y, that is income level. So stock and flow is related to measuring the variable, expressing the variable. Okay, nature of variable. Stock and flow is related to nature of the variable. Nature of the variable. Nature of the variable means the way variable behaves in the economy. Nature of the variable is stock or flow. Then achieving a particular level is equilibrium. So all the economic variables will have their equilibrium level. Okay. So through macroeconomic principles, we try to find out the equilibrium level of an economic variable. Economic theories or principles of economics, macroeconomics helps you in understanding that how a particular economic variable achieves its equilibrium situation, how it comes, how it arrives at a rest situation. Okay, rest means absence of change. That is what you are saying, rest. So rest is not that some variable is becoming zero. The value of a particular variable is becoming zero. Okay, so equilibrium is always related to positive value. That positive value where change will not be very frequent. Okay. So in order to understand the economic, the determination of economic variables, we have two methods or we have two sets of theories. One is the classical system. You say classical system. You say classical system, classical theory. And on the other side, you have Keynesian system. So classical system and Keynesian system are the two ways in which you explain the behavior of economic variables. Okay. Or you explain the process of determination of equilibrium of economic variables. So when you say classical system, what are you indicating? Classical system means Adam Smith, David Ricardo, Alfred Marshall, Malthus, J.S. Mill, J.B. Say, and J.B. Say. Okay, as of now, suppose we are only focusing on these economists. So these are the economists, and these are the classical economists. Now, when you say Keynesian system, it means you are talking about John Maynard Keynes, Roy Harrod, E. Domer. So mainly we will be talking about these three. K. And who else in the Keynesian system? Okay, so let us keep it. So these four economists, when you talk about Keynesian economists, you are talking about them. If you are talking about the classical system, then you are referring to these people: Adam Smith, David Ricardo, Marshall, Malthus, J.B. Say, J.S. Mill. Okay. So someone added Fisher. Okay. So this is Irving Fisher. So that's how there are different lists. Okay, so then here it can be this can be ACPU. So we are talking about these economists, and first we'll try to understand the classical system, and then we'll go to the Keynesian system. So why we are studying the classical system? To understand the behavior of macroeconomic variables and the principles governing determination of equilibrium level for the variables. Okay. So classical system will explain to you that how the macroeconomic variables behave and what are the principles which govern the determination process of equilibrium level for these economic variables. So determination process. In other words, you can also say that through the classical system, this classical system is also known as the traditional economic theory, traditional economic theory. When you are saying traditional economic theory, you are referring to 18th century. Okay? Through the classical system, you can understand the process of interaction or interdependence between the economic variables at the macro level. Okay, so this is the idea that why we need to study the classical system and the Keynesian system, why we need to understand the when we are talking about economic theories or when we are talking about economic principles, why we are categorizing it under classical system or Keynesian system, because these principles will help you to understand that how economic variables interact at the macro level, how they are interdependent, how their behavior are interdependent, or how the decision making of macroeconomic agents are interdependent at the macro level. If you remember in the beginning when we were talking about introduction to macroeconomics, we tried to understand that there are several trade-offs also in macroeconomics. Why study of macroeconomics is important, or why we are studying macroeconomics separately? Because we want to understand the trade-off existing between the economic variables. One variable can behave at the micro level differently as compared to the macro level. Like every individual behaving as a micro unit will differ from that individual being part of a group. Okay, this is just like that. You individually do some things and then you do few things as part of a group. So this is the difference. On one side, you have a micro behavior, micro level decision making, and at the other side, you have macro level decision making. So similarly for economic variables, there can be a behavior or economic decision making at a micro level, and it can be at a macro level. So to understand the behavior at the macro level, we need macroeconomic principles. Now these macroeconomic principles are given by the classical economists and the Keynesian economists. So because the classical economists are the one who have started the systematic study of economic variables, or who gave the principles related to behavior of economic variables for the first time. So the economics as a subject, as a separate subject, has started with these classical economists. That is why we call them traditional economists. Right? So far, are you okay? Are you able to understand? Do you have any questions so far?
Ma'am, please explain again.
What we are saying is that we are talking about macroeconomic variables, several macroeconomic. See, we are talking about so many things. As I wrote earlier also, we are talking about GDP, employment, we are talking about aggregate demand, as you always say, aggregate supply, Then you will say savings, investment. You will say output. You
Ma'am,
will
what is
say,
aggregate?
okay, that is a good question you are asking. I am surprised that, tell me, who will tell me what is aggregate? What do you mean by aggregate?
Sum or
Ma'am,
total
total.
cost.
So sum of all.
Oh,
In
Yes,
total.
sum, total, whole. So when you say aggregate, that means it is the summation of individual summation of demand at individual summation of demand of individual units. Example, you are saying A individual, B individual, C individual, D individual, E individual. So you add up all the individuals up to N, and then you get aggregate. But this aggregate demand is not the market demand, but it is at the macro level, at the economy level. That is why you are calling it aggregate demand at the economy level. That means for the total country you are talking about. You are not talking about a single market, but you are talking about the whole country. So when you are talking about economy, the demand will always be known as aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Okay. So what you are trying to understand now, you are trying to understand that how these variables will behave at the macro level. BA1, you were trying to understand that how economic variables will behave at a micro level. But now here you will be talking about that how collective decision takes place or how aggregate decision takes place. If all the units demanding a particular good or service comes together, then what is the behavior? If all the suppliers are added up for the economy, then how they will behave? Okay. And if the behavior is in form of savings, consumption or investment, how it will behave for the economy. You are talking about households, firms. Now here firms is always the corporate sector. Okay, here you will be talking about government. You will be talking about rest of the world. ROW is rest of the world. Rest of the world is the foreign sector. So there are different ways in which you can explain this. So it's always good to call it rest of the world because you are talking about economies other than your economy. So now we start with the assumptions of the classical system. Assumptions of the classical system. When they explain the behavior of economic variables, they have certain assumptions. Okay. And the very first assumption is laissez-faire. That means no government intervention. So this is the first assumption where we are starting. Class system always means that there is no government intervention. This is a laissez-faire system. Now, what do you mean by laissez-faire system? It means that all the decisions are taken by individuals, private sector, or the market. Laissez-faire means all the decisions. And remember, decisions means economic decisions. Non-economic decisions we are not considering. All the economic decisions are taken by individuals or market forces. Market forces, do you remember? What is market forces? Market forces means?
Demand and supply.
Investment, demand, supply.
Very good. So market forces means demand and supply. So when every economic decision, and economic decision means that whether you are talking about price, whether you are talking about demand, whether you are talking about supply, you are talking about consumption, anything. So every economic decision is taken by the market forces or the demand and supply itself or by these individuals. So government is not deciding anything. Okay. Now, no government intervention does not mean zero taxes. Okay, no government intervention does not mean that there is no government expenditure. Government still exists. But according to classical system, what is the role for government? Very minimum role, very minimal role, very marginal role, where government is only responsible for maintaining law and order and defense of the country. Okay, protecting the country from protecting the territory of a particular country from external forces.
Yes,
Engaging.
ma'am.
Yes.
But ma'am, classical economist only tells about supply side.
No, they only they do not talk about supply side only, but we will understand gradually that what do you mean by when you say that they give more emphasis on supply. Okay, without demand, supply cannot exist. If supply is there, there has to be demand. You should understand that every time it is said that demand and supply are the two sides of the same coin, or they are like scissors. जैसे कैंची होती है तो कैंची को आप तभी चला सकते हैं जब उसके दो हिस्से होंगे. Otherwise you cannot use the scissor. So that's how demand supply behaves. But you will understand gradually. That's what I said. Don't try to jump here and there. Try to be with the flow as I'm trying to tell you. Try to understand everything step by step and logically. See, try to understand that assumptions, one assumption drives the other assumption. Okay, so you have to go step by step. You have to be very logical in progressing in the classical system. So the first thing which you are starting is laissez-faire, and then rest of the things will follow. Okay, so let us see that when you are saying laissez-faire, laissez-faire means that all the economic decisions are taken by individuals. You are not saying that there is no taxes, there is no expenditure, there is no welfare by the government. Social security expenditure are still done by the government. Defense is still the responsibility of the government. Government will still impose taxes. Government has taxes. But the point is that economic decisions related to demand and supply will be taken by market forces or will be taken by individuals themselves. So government will not decide. What government will not decide? Allocation of resources. When you say economic decisions, what do you mean by economic decision? Allocation of resources. You can also say allocation of factors of production. Resources means factors of production. Now, when you say factors of production, generally in your mind comes land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So when you say resources, you can talk about natural resources, man-made resources, and technology. These are the three things which are there broadly. In the natural resources, you have land, you have water, you have air. In the man-made resources, you have labor, you have capital, you have machines, you have buildings, you have entrepreneur. So the first economic decision is the allocation of resources. The second economic decision is related to distribution. Of income, output, and wealth. So through allocation, first you will decide the level of output. First you will achieve a level of output at the aggregate level, at the economy level. When the output is there, then you will distribute the output, income, and wealth among the various participants, among the various economic agents in the economy. So the first decision is related to allocation, where you are allocating that for which activity, how much labor, how much capital, how much entrepreneur will be used, how much land. Then when you have decided the allocation, you will result in output, or there will be output, there will be income generation. Now this income and output has to be distributed among the economic agents. So this is the second economic decision, which is very important. The third economic decision is related to stabilization. And when you say stabilization, it means prices, then all types of prices, whatever prices you can think, output, and you call it several variables, but you are talking about stabilization. So allocation of resources is again done by market forces. Distribution of income output is again done by market forces. Stabilization is again done by market forces. So government is not deciding anything here. Are you able to understand this? So that is laissez-faire. So when you say no government intervention, it means you are saying no direct government intervention. Government can intervene indirectly. Government can make rules and regulations or policies maybe. Government can impose taxes, but government is not deciding what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. Nothing is decided by the government. Who is the decision maker? Market forces, demand and supply. These individuals at the macro level. Households themselves are deciding, firms themselves are deciding. Okay? So that's how the classical economy starts. They are always talking about laissez-faire. The second assumption which the classical system has, capitalist economy. Okay, so the classical system is always talking about a capitalist economy. Again, you know that capitalist economy is an economy where decision is taken by market forces or individuals. Not necessary that capitalist economy has to be the economy where capital is in abundance. It can be economy like India, it can be economy like China, it can be economy like USA, but it is a capitalist economy where all decisions are taken by market forces and all the resources, all economic resources are owned by, controlled by individuals. So that is more important. Capitalist economy in the sense who has the ownership of resources. Who takes the decision. That's how capitalist economy is defined, right? So now the third assumption. Long run. Are you able to see the sequence? If we understand in this sequence, then we understand properly. So long run. All economic decisions have a long-term horizon. And when you say long run, you are talking about 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, 25 years, 15 years, more than 5 years, or in some activities, more than 1 year. So you are not talking about days, you are not talking about months, you are not talking about week, but you are talking about more than a year, more than 5 years, more than 10 years. So long run is very important for classical economists. So therefore they say that every variable behave with a long-term perspective. Okay. So they are ignoring what happens in short run. So we are not talking about day-to-day economic activities, but we are talking about economic activities over the time period, over a longer time period. So long run is very crucial for classical economists. Now, because they talk about long run, that is why they talk about full employment. And in short run, this is always indicated as YF. So from the very beginning, try to understand this. Full employment. Full employment is a situation where all the resources are fully utilized. And the resources can be fully utilized only in the long run. So full employment is a situation where all resources, all economic resources are fully utilized. That means, what it means? It means there is no excess capacity, no excess capacity or unutilized capacity. So all economic resources have to be fully utilized. Given the technology, all the labor is fully utilized, all capital is fully utilized, all the entrepreneurs are involved in the business, or all the land available is fully utilized. So nothing is lying idle, nothing is lying excess capacity, in excess capacity. Okay. Factories are working to the maximum. Farms are producing the maximum level of output. Worker is supplying the labor for the maximum time for which it can work. So therefore, there is full employment. Now, when you say full employment, you say the fifth point is fully flexible assets. Because in the beginning you have said all decisions are taken by market. So therefore the prices are all flexible. Okay, so maybe we will stop here. Stabilization is not only about prices, but it is also about income, output, employment, everything. Yes, so any questions so far?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
please open the first slide.
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, as you said that about the allocation of resources, but if a firm take take loan from the government or take some capital from in a lease, then it will come under the allocation of resources or not, ma'am?
It will come under the allocation of resources, whether you borrow, whether you take on lease, whether you purchase directly. But the point is that no person is going to government for loan in the classical system. Okay, so don't use government here.
Okay, ma'am.
Now, which slide you were saying? Is this
Ma'am,
the slide or?
from where you start today's class?
Okay, so from where I started the class? I started the class here. So I started the class here, and if you want to see what I have written,
Ma'am,
yes,
what is the difference between classical and Keynesian?
that we will understand at the end of the unit. Now it is too early to understand it, and don't try to understand it in the very beginning. See, शुरू की कुछ क्लासेस में, अभी जब हमने सेकेंड यूनिट शुरू किया है, तो शुरू की कुछ क्लासेस में आप सभी और हम भी एक क्लासिकल इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं. हम सारे लोग क्लासिकल सिस्टम बिलीव करते हैं और उसी के बारे में बात करें. सो डोंट थिंक अबाउट कीन्स, व्हाट कीन्स इज सेइंग. When we will reach Keynes, then we all will become Keynesian economists. Okay. So up to now, we all are classical economists.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, when you say economic variable, what exactly variable means?
Okay. In between, someone was saying something.
Yeah, ma'am. I'm asking
Ma'am, what is
when you
written
say.
Ashutosh, just wait. Akash, what you are saying?
Ma'am, I was saying that what is written in the fifth point, full flexible prices, or in the front of it.
Maybe tomorrow we will talk about that. Okay. What is the difference between macroeconomic agents and macroeconomic variables? Okay. Macroeconomic agents are those who take the decision, and macroeconomic variables are those decisions which are taken by the macroeconomic agents. Are you getting it? Agents are say households. Now households have to take decision. So they take decisions. They take decisions about what? About economic variables such as consumption, savings, investment. Okay, so these are agents, but decision or economic variables are these. So economic variable is the activity which is performed by economic agent. Like in your microeconomics, consumer consumes and wants to maximize the satisfaction. So there are two things. On one side, you have a consumer. On the other side, you have the activity of the consumer, that is consumption. Or the objective of the consumer, that is utility maximization. So similarly, at the macro level, you have the decision maker, decision taker, that is household, or that can be firm, that can be government. But what are their decisions? What do they decide? They decide the levels of economic variables, that is consumption, savings, investment, expenditure, taxes, export, import, output, employment. Right? Are you able to understand now?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, once again repeat the stabilization, ma'am.
Stabilization means you are stable. See, very simple. Stabilization means maintaining the equilibrium. Stabilization is just like consistency. हम ये कहते हैं ना कि अगर BA फर्स्ट ईयर में हमारे 60% आए तो सेकेंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर में 60% से कम नहीं होना चाहिए, एटलीस्ट 60% रहना चाहिए. So you are trying to stabilize your marks. You are trying to stabilize your performance. Similarly, for macroeconomy, it is very essential that if a particular level is achieved, it has to be stable. अगर इकोनॉमी में प्राइसेस का कोई एक लेवल अचीव हो गया है, so it should remain stable. It should not go up. It should not go down. Right? So a stable level of economic variable is very important, is very crucial. Okay, so anything else?
Ma'am,
excuse me, ma'am.
Okay, Ashutosh. Just Akash,
Yeah, ma'am.
wait. Ashutosh.
Ma'am, I have a confusion. Ma'am, when you say economic variable, what exactly variable means?
Variable means any item which can have different values. That is variable.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Anything which can have different values, that becomes variable. Yes, Akash?
Ma'am, you told in the lessons here that in the first point, allocation of resources or the factors of production, and ma'am, you also told that the allocation of resources, government will not decide. Ma'am, why government will not decide that?
Because there is no role for government. There is no economic role for government, and that's how classical economists explain. Classical says that we don't need government to decide what to produce or how to produce. Individuals can on their own, or the producer can on their own decide what to produce and how to produce. That is why there is no government. But no government does not mean that there will be no government to do defense expenditure, or there will be no government to maintain the courts or law and order. For every economy, police, courts, and army, navy is required. And from the traditional times also it was there. So government role is that only. Government is not deciding, government is not having a BSNL, government is not having a BP, or government is not having ONGC. Government is there, but it is there for protecting the rights of the individuals in the economy. That is the role for government. Only that. Okay, that is what no government intervention. You are not saying no government. You are saying no government intervention. That is important for you to remember.
Ma'am, ma'am, full employment refers to ma'am workers and owners.
See, full
मतलब उनके एम्प्लॉयमेंट के बारे में है ना मैम?
नहीं, not only employment. Full employment means full employment for every resource, for every factor of production. See, these are the assumption. For every assumption, we will have different theories which we are going to study. So please don't worry so much. You will be able to understand all these in the coming classes. That's how we are talking. We will be talking about theories. On every one assumption, there will be a theory. That's how assumptions are there. Assumptions are always based on a theoretical construct. By theory only, you will prove these assumptions. So assumptions are
Okay, ma'am.
Assumptions are the starting point. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.
मैम क्या हो सकता है कि किसी कंट्री में फुल एम्प्लॉयमेंट हो सके?
हाँ, बिल्कुल हो सकता है, और कैसे होगा ये हम लोग आगे बात करेंगे. निमी?
मैम 3 सेक्टर इकोनॉमी और 4 सेक्टर इकोनॉमी में फाइनेंशियल मार्केट को हम क्या कह सकते हैं, मीडियम या कुछ और?
फाइनेंशियल मार्केट है, वो गवर्नमेंट नहीं है.
मैम मतलब सेक्टर उसको मतलब मीडियम कह सकते हैं हम लोग, जैसे दोनों में फाइनेंशियल मार्केट होता है दोनों सेक्टर्स में, 3 और 4 सेक्टर्स में, तो वो क्या चीज है फाइनेंशियल?
सुनो, फाइनेंशियल मार्केट हर सेक्टर में होगा. इकोनॉमी 2 सेक्टर है, इकोनॉमी 3 सेक्टर है, इकोनॉमी 4 सेक्टर है. फाइनेंशियल मार्केट हर जगह होगा, बिकॉज व्हेनेवर हम किसी भी ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए मनी यूज करते हैं, तो जब मनी यूज करेंगे तो वो मनी मार्केट का हिस्सा होगा. हम उसके लिए ये मान लेते हैं कि फाइनेंशियल मार्केट है. फाइनेंशियल मार्केट हमेशा होगा हर जगह. उसको एक्सप्लिसिटली मानना है या नहीं मानना है, ये आपका डिसीजन हो सकता है, राइट? सो फाइनेंशियल मार्केट ऑलवेज एग्जिस्ट. If it is a 2-sector economy, then also it exists. So maybe you are not getting the idea correctly. Just wait for some time, maybe you will understand.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
मैम तो उसको मीडियम कह सकते हैं.
Minimum how?
क्या है? मीडियम क्या मतलब है? मीडियम क्या चीज है भाई?
जैसे मैम उससे हम लोग बारोइंग और सेविंग करते हैं.
Hello, ma'am.
हाँ गौतम.
Minimum how many years we can include in the long run?
More than 1 year.
Okay, ma'am.
Nimi, try to understand this. Have you talked about role of money?
नहीं मैम, जैसे I am saying that.
Yes, what you are saying?
Yes मैम जैसे 3 सेक्टर इकोनॉमी में फर्म है, हाउस होल्ड है और गवर्नमेंट है, 3 सेक्टर्स ये हो गए. तो उसमें फाइनेंशियल मार्केट क्या चीज है, ये चीज पूछना है.
फाइनेंशियल मार्केट हर का हिस्सा है. वो फर्म्स का भी हिस्सा है, वो इंडिविजुअल हिस्सा है, मतलब हाउस होल्ड सेक्टर का हिस्सा है, वो गवर्नमेंट का भी हिस्सा है. कैसे हिस्सा है? तुम ऐसा करो, एक बार जो हम तुम्हें बार बार कह रहे हैं कि YouTube चैनल पे वो जो वीडियोस हैं वो आज हम पोस्ट करेंगे टेलीग्राम चैनल पे. तुम एक बार उसको देखो, उसके बाद हमें बताना कि तुम्हें समझ में आया है नहीं समझ में आया. So let us
ma'am, we have not.
I'm disconnecting. We'll talk tomorrow. Thank you.
I am not joined Telegram.